I'm good. I woke up yesterday. I'm ready, man. I've got controlled fury, and I'm ready to go. I'm absolutely ready to go. I don't go the other way. So, and the team won't either. We're on a mission, and we're not going to feel sorry for ourselves and wallow in everything. We had plays to make, we didn't make them, and it's a tight game, a good opponent, playoff type atmosphere, and you got to make that one extra play that we didn't, and. So we will use this as fuel. I got pure octane right now. I woke up, I'm ready. So we're moving forward.
One. Hey, Grumpy here. Happy New Year. It's 2024. With a new edition of Fifth Quarter Roar. What you just saw was a video clip of Dan Campbell addressing the media yesterday afternoon, letting them know that he has controlled fury, and the players were off yesterday. He was in, so I'm sure he was reviewing film, and the players will be in today, and he'll have them guys ready to play on Sunday against the Minnesota Vikings for the last season of the game. Now we're locked in the number 3 seed for the NFC, but on Sunday, if the Phillies lose and the Cowboys lose and the Lions win, we can crawl our way up to the number 2 seed, but I don't see that. I don't foresee that happening. So we're locked in the number 3 seed, which means we could either play the Green Bay Packers or the LA Rams, which means Matt Stafford would be back in Ford Field to take on the Lions. And I think Dan Campbell will have them ready to play. Now, if that's the scenario, if the Cowboys win their first round in the playoffs, guess who we're going back to? We're going to go back to Dallas. And I guarantee you that the Lions will be ready to play that game at the playoffs. So I was telling Miss Tammy this morning that because I had to explain some of the football stuff to her. She understands a little bit, but I had to explain to her. I'm like, we play the end of the season game against Minnesota. We get the win, and then we're into the playoffs, and we have 3 games before you can get to the big dance. So that's the scenario that I see here. There are a few people that text me about things that I didn't address on the Fifth Quarter Roar on Saturday. Well, first of all, it was late. We did that one right after the game. We didn't talk about the call on that 2-point play for us to go for the win, and that's exactly what I would have done if I was Dan Campbell. I would have tried to go for the win. Here's my take on that. My take on that is they were calling number 70 eligible, or reporting in an eligible. From what I read, it was only one or two plays. My take on that was the ref assumed that 70 was going to be the number eligible instead of 68. So I think he didn't listen to Decker, or Decker didn't say it loud enough, or something happened there for that deal to happen. That's my take on it. But we went forward again. The Cowboys had an offsides, so we got to go for the third time, and then we just didn't execute that play. Jared Goff didn't throw to one of his playmakers. He threw to Mitchell, which is not a regular. He's a tight end, but he's not a regular tight end. One of the playmakers. I think Goff should have threw it to one of the playmakers. And in my heart of hearts, we won that game. But with all that being said, I'm not going to move on just yet. I also figured that what the league would do, and the league has done this in the past, the Lions have a tradition of losing games like that, where it comes down to a flag. Let me remind everybody of Chicago when Kelvin Johnson caught that touchdown in the end zone and he came down awkwardly, and they called it an incomplete pass. And then that's when the league decided they were going to come up with the Calvin Johnson rule. So that's one example. There's also when we played Seattle a few years ago, and their player batted the ball out of the end zone, which should have been a safety. Lions would have won that game also. The league has put out that Dan Campbell was over aggressive, and it fooled the refs. It fooled the Cowboys, and it also fooled the refs. So it's the coaches and the players' fault, which I firmly do not believe. Like I said, I think the ref assumed that 70 was the one that was eligible. So, and I also figured that the league would say they're sorry, and I think I said this before, and we would just move on. So I don't think it had nothing to do with the coach. It was a fantastic play if you look at some of the replays. So no matter, we're going to go in and we're going to beat the Vikings for the end of the season. We are still the 2023 NFC North champs, and we've been that for a couple weeks now. We cleared that up 2 weeks ago, so we don't have that to worry about. I already mentioned that my hope for the first playoff game will be versus the Rams. Matt Stafford comes in and we beat the Rams at home for the first playoff game. And then I'm hoping we do go back to Dallas and then we just whip some ass on the Dallas Cowboys. Josh believes that all this stuff is scripted. He says it every time. All of this stuff is scripted. So he said that from the beginning of the season. So when we lost against the Cowboys, he's like, that's part of the script, because they want the Cowboys in the playoffs, and then we got to do what we got to do to get to where Josh thinks we're going to be in the Super Bowl. And yes, he's not here sitting next to me because it's January 2nd. He's working. I'm still off for today, and then I go back to work tomorrow. Let me look, and I took some note. I wrote some notes down here so I could remember what I wanted to talk about instead of just getting on here and a free form in it, or just talking just to talk, because I usually get on and then I kind of forget what I want to talk about. So let me make sure that I have everything on my notes that I wanted to say. And last but not least, congratulations to the University of Michigan for winning the Rose Bowl yesterday. They're heading to the college football championship. We're going to play the Washington. I think they're Cougars. They're going to play Washington, and we'll see how that goes. So with that, we'll say go blue. There was one more thing I wanted to touch upon. Oh, Lions fans. I found out that I think there's 3 types of Lions fans. There's Lion fans that are like myself, who buy the gear, pay a lot of money to watch them every Sunday. If they live in a different state, if they're diehard fans and they live in the state of Michigan, they buy season tickets and they go to every game of the season. Now, Miss Tammy will tell you, if we lived in the state of Michigan, it would be like hunting season. She says she would never see me during football season, because I'd be at Ford Field every Sunday when they play, or whenever they were in town, or whenever they were playing at home. So she said she would never see me. Number 2 kind of Lions fan are the ones that kind of half-ass watch, when they're playing good. They're happy. Go Detroit Lions. We're proud. We're from Michigan. We're from Detroit. We love our team. But they don't pay attention to all the other things that are going on with the team. And then you have what I call the fair weather fans. And a perfect example of that is my grandmother when she was alive. She would put the Lions game on Sunday, and she would watch a little bit, or she'd have it on in the background, and if they were playing awful, she'd go over and she'd turn that crap off. She didn't care one way or another. So those are the three types of fans that I see. Is there anything else that I want to address? Sorry for the pauses, because I'm trying to think about if there's anything else I want to address. Okay, so the Lions are going into Minnesota, take on the Vikings. I thought maybe Dan Campbell was going to rest the starters to have them ready for the playoffs, but it sounds like he's going to have them fired up and ready to play. We have some of our defensive players that were hurt coming back on the back end, not the offensive line, but on the back end. So our pass coverage stuff should get a whole lot better for the playoffs. And that's what we can hope for. So I'll close this one out. And with all that being said, let's go. Go Lions. And I'll talk to you all later.